So today I watched Hotel Transylvania Transfor-LAME-ia, the fourth installment in this franchise that should have ended quite a while ago. This one went straight to Amazon Prime because I guess Sony realized this was a lost cause and wasn't going to make any money. So they shoved it onto Amazon Prime. Since I'm an Amazon Prime member, I decided to give it a watch. Now, I'm not a huge fan of this franchise. I don't think I really hate the first two. They're fine for what they are. They're just not my thing. I don't remember much about the first one. The second one I remember the most. Because remember, that one ran on TV for a while, a few years back. So I remember quite a bit about that one. I remember it being fine for what it is, just, again, not really my thing. I didn't watch the third one. I heard it was shit, so I avoided it. I think it's on Netflix, but I still don't really feel like watching it. And honestly, I didn't really need to. I knew it happened, and even the stuff I didn't know happened, I kind of figured out from this movie. So let's get into this movie. You know, last year, my first review of the year was also a streaming movie that was absolute dog shit. And it was Outside the Wire. This year's the same thing. Just Amazon Prime instead of Netflix. And it's animated. Really the only difference here. But the concept of this is that Johnny, of course, turns into a monster, turns into this big lizard creature, and a lot of the hotel characters, staff, whatever you want to call them, turn into human, including Drac, the werewolf guy, the mummy guy, the blob monster, which just turns into a plate of Jell-O, and the Invisible Man. Oh, and Frankenstein's monster thing. I don't know any of their names, and I didn't bother to learn them, because they're kind of forgettable characters, and yeah, that's the best way to sum this movie up, too. It's forgettable. This concept, okay, it sounds like a fun idea on paper, but this would be better suited for, like, a short. You remember that god-awful Olaf short that ran before Coco? It was, like, 20 minutes long. That's kind of where this story should have been. It should have been 20 minutes, not an hour and 20 minutes. And they really stretched this thing out. I will give it credit. It is only like an hour 27 with credits. Without credits, I think it's only like an hour 20. So you don't feel the length of it, at least. But you can tell they didn't have enough material for one film. It, of course, does the stupid liar reveal stuff, or I won't give away what it is. Normally I go into spoilers. This one I really don't care enough to. And honestly, the character of Johnny is the biggest problem in this movie. Because in the other films, he was a relatively okay character. He didn't really get on my nerves. He was, again, fine for what he was. Because he was a side character, more or less. Here, he's kind of he's the secondary main character other than Drac. And he's really annoying. I don't think there was a single funny joke in this movie. In this entire runtime, there wasn't a single joke I laughed at. Not one. Well, I'll give it credit. Every once in a while, the animation gave me, made me chuckle at it. Maybe-ish, kind of. Like, there's one scene where Drac's trying to, like, there was some big noise and it ended up being big lizard monster Johnny, and he's like walking across the floor with his ear pressed against the ground. He's walking. That was a little funny, but that's about to the extent that it goes. The verbal jokes aren't funny, and the voice acting is, bless the hearts of the actors here. They're trying, mostly. Brian Hull does a pretty decent job as Dracula, but you can tell he's trying to do an Adam Sandler impression, and it's not great. I'll give him credit that he was trying, and most of the voice actors do pretty good. The one exception, though, is Selena Gomez as Mavis. Like, in the other films, she does fine, but here it just seemed like she was kind of going through the motions. Because the other ones, because this one, I never heard Mavis. In the other ones, I heard a character. This one, I just hear Selena Gomez. That's it. I don't hear a character. I hear the voice actor in the studio. That's it. And like I said, the other actors do their job fine. The guy who plays Johnny, he's trying, but man, he gets annoying. And it's the script's fault, not his. And I will say, this movie has possibly the worst rendition of Van Helsing I've ever seen in my life. I didn't think I could get a worse Van Helsing than Hugh Jackman, but here it is. And there's this stupid little joke where the guinea pig turns into this big, brainless monster, and that's what happens to Johnny at the end, too, and it's all resolved through some bullshit that I don't really want to get into. This movie may end up getting a cinematic disasters at some point, because I really don't have the energy to go into too many spoilers with this, and I really don't have them. I really don't want to do this because this movie was just too forgettable to say anything about. I predicted pretty much every joke that was going to happen. Like, a few seconds before it happened, like, something happened, I predicted, I'm like, this is going to be the punchline, and there it is. For example, when they're walking through the jungle, Drax, of course, because he's a human now, he's got, like, this huge... Also, why is Johnny not carrying the big-ass backpack? He is 12 feet tall, has super strength, essentially, is really strong, yet he's having human Drac carry that thing. Why? Just, it's not funny. And Drax, like, overheated and stuff, and so he is gonna go jump off into a lake or something down below, and Johnny's like, you gotta be careful, there are certain bodies of water that you should be cautious and avoid. Immediately jumps off, and I know what's gonna happen. I'm like, it's either gonna be piranhas or sharks. It's gonna be one or the other. And it was piranhas. Yep. And so, also, apparently in South America, when they first get to South America, Johnny is walking through the street and doing stuff just fine in his lizard form, and nobody has an issue. Like, yeah, it shows them on the news later, and that's how Mavis and Erica figure out where they are. But up till that point, and even after that, when they're on a bus, no one bats an eye at this lizard thing. The only car crash that happens, because they're in, like, the middle of the street, the only thing that causes a car crash is because one's about to hit Drac. That's it. Now, nobody's batting an eye at this big lizard creature in the middle of the street. I know it's South America, but you'd think someone would take a look. I already talked, the resolution was stupid. The jokes of the creatures, or the monsters becoming humans aren't very funny. There's the Frankenstein monster guy. He's happy about having cool hair and being really muscular. He's having this cool, good-looking dude. It's not funny, and they keep it up constantly. The werewolf guy has, like, no jokes to him. The only jokes is that the kids are more focused with the mother, so he doesn't really have to do anything. It's not funny. Blobby, or whatever the fuck, the Jello guy, just sits on a plate the entire time. And the invisible guy, I don't even want to talk about this, but I will. Of course he's naked. That's, of course, the joke, but this animated kids movie decided to feel the need to have multiple shots of this man's ass. How did that get past the MPAA? How did they keep a PG rating by showing him? I know it's animated, but... And you think I'm kidding. I'm not. There are multiple shots. The very first thing that happens when he turns visible is a close-up on his ass. That is disturbing. Especially when it comes to a kid's movie like this. What was the other one? Oh, the mummy dude is some old guy. That's it. That's the joke. There's no funny jokes in this. Like, there's even points where they just flat out ignore things that happen early on. Like, Drac does this thing where he, like, freezes time around him. Except vampires, because Mavis is still able to move around. Essentially super speed. And yet, when he's chasing Monster Johnny, trying to turn him back into a human, he doesn't think to use this power. Like, the second that happened, I'm like, okay, it's not going to show up. And he's chasing Johnny, he's not using that power, I'm like, it's not going to show up again, isn't it? It was just for that one scene. And yep, that's exactly what happened. I mean, I thought I was going to have more to say about this movie, but really, this was just a waste of time. And not just reviewing this entire movie was a waste of time. It's an hour and 25. If your kids want to watch it, that's... If you have Amazon Prime, I guess. It's harmless, I guess. But that's about as much praise as I'm giving it. That's it. There's nothing sustainable. There's nothing funny here. There's nothing meaningful. And it's the same repetitive arc you've seen in the last 3 films where he has to learn to accept Johnny as a human. It's the 4th time we've done this, and they're still acting like it's original. I'm getting sick of this. No more of these movies. None. Why did they even make 3 and 4? Like, 3, summer vacation. Great. What are you going to do? Oh, put them on a cruise ship, and that's it. What are you going to do here? Oh, you're going to stretch a 15-minute idea into an hour 25. No. Just do it well or don't do it at all. That's all I got for this dumpster fire. I'm giving Hotel Transylvania Transfor-LAME-ia a D-. This thing was lucky to avoid an F, but honestly, I couldn't really bring myself to give it an F, but I'm kind of wanting to, but I don't think it was that bad. Not bad enough to warrant an F, but a D-, that seems right. That seems about right. So thank you all so much for watching. What do you think of the Hotel Transylvania franchise? Are you done with them already? Are you even going to watch the 4th one? So yeah, that's all I've got. And I've got a lot more movies to catch up on. So I'll see you then.